In today's video, I will be showing you how to make this produce bag on the Sentro machine. You could also crochet or knit it as well. And without further ado, let's get started. I would like to apologize in advance if you can hear my air conditioning going on. I am still currently heavily medicated from my surgery, so I am very warm. So that AC is not going off. I'm so sorry, I'm not turning it off. Also, my camera arm thingy, this is as high as I can get it. So as much as I wish this whole thing could be in frame, I also feel like even if I could, it would then be too far away for you to see what's going on. So I hope you're okay with this. If not, I don't know what to tell you. So I'm going to start off with taking this little, I use this as a weight, and putting it on my string. And then I'm just going to cast on, and this is waste yarn. This isn't the yarn I'm going to be using to make the produce bag. This is just waste yarn, and I'm going to cast on. So I'm just going to add the other one. Goodness. And you can just go ahead and ignore the markings, the little marker markings I have on my Sentro right now. Those are to indicate spots for a different pattern I'm currently working on. So just ignore those. Those are important, but not for this. Alrighty. And I'm going to go ahead and just crank and crank and crank until I've gotten to where I like to be with my waste yarn, and then I will meet you back here to add on the yarn we're going to be using to make the produce bag. Alright, so I took my waste yarn and I went ahead and I plopped it in the middle. I put my weight on it, I reset this, and then I take a little bit extra yarn, I just tie it off so I have enough to work with at the end to close up or go around the edges of whatever it is I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and put my weight on there. I'm going to put this in here. And then I am going to just crank until the bag looks about the size I want it to be. And I'll let you know how many rows that ends up being. So I've gotten to 62 on my stitch counter. I ended up stopping at 57 because I liked where the color had stopped, but I wanted it to get to an even number, so I was gonna go to 60. But right when I got to 60, the yellow had been like on half a row. So I went to 62 to kind of even everything out. But if you're doing a solid color, you can probably go to like 60 and it'll be fine. And now I'm going to add my waste yarn. Go ahead and put that through. Alright. And then I'm just going to crank until I get to the end of my waste yarn. We're on the home stretch. Nice. And I'm going to be using a 6.5mm hook and a 5mm hook. And I'm going to be using each one for a different reason. Let me go ahead and remove that so that will stop clanking. So this is going to be the top, which is where I'm going to be using the larger hook. And then this is the bottom, or I'm going to be using the smaller hook. So what I'm going to do with the smaller hook, I'm going to go in right before that, and then right after it. If I can get it on there. and I'm going to be slip stitching this together. That's why I wanted to have a little string left over at the end to do that with. So I'm going to go ahead and start slip stitching that together. And I'm using the smaller hook at the bottom just to kind of cinch everything in. I could have weaved through this and pulled it and made it like round, but since it is going to be holding moderately heavy stuff, I just wanted to make sure it was going to be really strong, have a really hefty hold. So I'm doing this method instead. You can do whatever you want. I'm just letting you know why I'm doing this. And even though I did use embroidery thread for this, it's still pretty like closed up. Like I feel like that's perfect for a produce bag. And usually I would cut and pull that, but I want to make sure this is actually secured properly. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the waste yarn, which from the top is a lot easier than from the bottom, like where you first start. So when you first start it, you just want to make sure you use up as much of your waste yarn and you don't have too much left. Like I would have much rather this be shorter, honestly. It would have been much easier. But you pull it. And then you can kind of see it in there. And you have to like pull this all the way through. That's why the less you have, the easier it is. Oop. And you could just cut this all the way off if you wanted to, but I reuse this waste yarn over and over and over again on different projects, so I did not want to do that. And then it should just kind of pop off. I accidentally pulled this. That's not good. Yeah, be careful. You don't want to do what I just did. Not that it's the end of the world, but it does suck a little bit. Alright, now I'm just going to make sure this is secure. None of the loops are coming off. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cut that. And pull it through. And tighten it. And there's the bottom of your produce bag, and I feel like that is pretty secure. And then for the top, I'm going to move over to the bigger hook. If you hear that whistling sound, that is my cat snoring right behind me. I'm not going to apologize for it either because it's cute. And for the next one, I am similar to the bottom, except for I'm not attaching the sides together. I'm just going around the edge with a crochet. And you can also, if you want the hole to be bigger or stretchier, instead of just crocheting with whatever yarn or string you're using, you could also use elastic thread in its place. Which I could have done here, but I was just wanting just a little produce bag. So I felt like this is fine. And I just switched over to this really little hook just to close this up so it's not so bulky. You can use the same one that you were using to make it. It really doesn't matter. And the really nice thing about the top section is you get to just take this off regularly, which is really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and I'll be right back. And here is the base of it. It can be long or it can stretch out and be nice and thick depending on what is in it. I think it turned out really cute. Now to do the handle, you could have not cut this and just crocheted yourself a little handle. You could knit yourself a handle. You could use the Sentro to make yourself a little icord handle or flat panel handle, whatever you want. I'm gonna do an icord, but I'm not gonna use the Sentro. I'm gonna use this to make a little icord. And then I'm gonna attach it. So let's get to it. First, I wanna make sure all these little things are down. And I'm going to go through here. Put that through the middle. If you haven't used one of these, pull this through and then put it through here. The thing says to tie a knot, but honestly you don't have to, like it stays on pretty well. And then when you first get started, let it go under the first hook, skip the second one, under the third one, and skip the fourth one. And then after that, you're able to just go in all of them. And then you wind, and then a little I-cord comes out the bottom, which I'll show you what that looks like as soon as it starts to come out the bottom. I've been going for about a minute now, and probably less than a minute honestly, and I have a little I-cord. I'm using embroidery thread, so it is very thin. As you can see, here it is next to the 5mm hook. And then it's gonna be our handle, and I'm gonna keep going until I think it is long enough. I'm gonna make 2, and I'm gonna have one, like, sorry, my cat's on the table. I'm gonna have one like this on either side. I'll meet you back when I get them both done. Oh, and the reason my cat popped up here is he knows the sound. Oh, hello. He knows the sound makes these, and he's obsessed with these. My very first one I made with the yarn that came with it, just as a practice one, is his now. He owns it. It is his favorite toy. So if you have one of these, or if you knit or crochet, and you have a cat, just make them a little tube. They'll love it. They will love it, I promise you. And then for the end of it, thank you. For the end of it, it's just leftover string, so I just go until it kind of just falls out on its own. Let me pull the weight up. And then it just kind of falls off. And for these, I will always recommend making them longer than you think you'll need, like much longer. Because you can quite literally just cut them to the length you need and it will not mess them up. So now I get to figure out where like the 4 corners are, which I'm gonna say is here-ish. I'd rather this way, where the straps are, be wider than these little open side bits. So I think this is good measurement. I just need to put some kind of marker. And the nice thing is, I can literally just cut it. Okay, I think that should be more than enough string to work with. And to close it up, you'll just go in the loop, in the loop, in the loop, and then in the last loop, and then pull that nice and tight, and you've closed it off. I'm gonna put that in my next section. And again, just like last time, I'm just gonna go around and around. Gonna leave that open. Go through that loop. Pull nice and snug. Leave a loop. Go back through. Pull that nice and snug. And then I'm gonna go back up the middle. there is one done. Look how cute this came out. And this is really sturdy. And honestly, now I want to make myself one. And probably my parents, because like I said, I feel like this would be really good to put like your wet clothes in after going to the pool or the lake or whatever. It's so cute. And if you made this with me, I would love to see whatever color combos you did or how yours came out. Like please, if you make one, tag me. I want to see them so bad. And if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below. Or if you'd like to ask the questions in a more private setting, you can also contact me on Instagram. I'll have that in my bio as well. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye. Dad. Sweet little baby.